All right. I'm good. Good evening. I'd like to call to order. What am I hearing? I'm easily distracted. Okay. All right. Get rid of that guy. Call to order the Tuesday, June 9th meeting of the Clayton Planning Commission. Call to order. Would you call a roll?
Yep, I will take roll. Commissioner Berzovich?
Present.
Vice Chair Bonchero?
Present.
Chair Richardson?
Present.
Commissioner Schulman?
Present.
And Commissioner Casagrande?
Present.
Here we have a quorum of 5-0.
Thank you so much. I have only one item on the agenda, so we have the acceptance of the agenda for number 2. That's third. It's third on the thing. Whatever. I'll follow it. Next, I'd ask you to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. All right, next on the agenda is public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone to comment on anything that is not on the agenda tonight. Up to 3 minutes to comment on something that we're not talking about tonight. Is there anyone interested in public comment? Seeing none, I will close the public comment, and we will now move forward to item number 5, which is the public hearing to consider the Peacock Creek Townhomes project. And I'll turn it over to staff from there.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Craig Challam. I'm Senior Planner with Community Development for the City of Clayton. And to my left is Don Rust. He is with CSG, and he is actually the lead planner on this project. And he is the author of the staff report. He will be making a brief presentation, but I want to do the introduction. This evening is to hear a development for 30 units. These are located off of Clayton Road and Peacock Creek on the southeast corner. On the southeast corner, is that correct? This is currently basically a vacant parking area. It is basically highly disturbed. It backs up to a hillside. This evening, there are 2 resolutions before you. One is for a tentative map, and one is to certify the mitigated determination or mitigated non-declaration. It's the ISMND, the initial study. There are exhibits for this evening, and the attachments to the staff report are on the back table. There is a staff report and then exhibits A through H. There are also presented for each one of you at your seats. Additionally, there are public comments. There were comments from 3 individuals. And then, but one of those comments, there's 3 comments from one individual who could not be here this evening. Those are dated from from September 29th, October, I believe, 1st, and then June 9th. The last comment that was received after noon today. I just want to point that out. That was a deadline, but included it, but it does not necessarily need to be considered by the commission. The applicant is here this evening, as well as the applicant's engineer and architect. Is that right? And I think that is about it. If you have any questions for me now, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I will hand it over to Don for the presentation.
One quick question. I hate to do this. So one of these comments that we received today talked a lot about inadequate notice for this event. Has this event been adequately noticed?
It has, and thank you for bringing that up. This project was adequately noticed. It was published in the Contra Costa Times. It was published 10 days prior to the meeting. It was also posted in 3 separate locations, one at City Hall, one here at the library, and one downtown. It was mailed to property owners within 300 feet of the site boundaries. And that comment, in addition to the 3 comments, if someone wants further notice and they're outside the 300-foot boundary, they need to make a request in writing. That was not received, and however, I did send it once it posted the agenda to the website to the 3 commenters as a courtesy.
Okay, thank you. And that commenter, the respondent here, if they continue to disagree, there are other avenues for them to approach. Okay.
Yes, there are.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Richardson and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Donald Rust. I'm the project lead for this project. I was assigned to this project on May 7th of 2025, so a little over a year ago. My responsibility was to try to restart the project and try to get it to the Planning Commission for a hearing. That's where we are today. The proposed project is, as Craig had talked about earlier, it's a 30-unit multifamily townhome project to be built on 2.5 acres. The lower graphic here itself that you're seeing up on the screen is actually, if you were on the west side of Clayton and looking east towards the intersection, that's what you're going to see, right? And I'll talk about the slide again because you'll see only part of it, and I'm going to mention that this is the front slide again, just so that we can all be on the same place. And so I'm going to go to the next slide. I think this is an extremely important slide here. Again, the location of it is located at the southeast corner of Clayton Road and Peacock Creek Drive. Again, it's 30-unit townhomes that will be constructed within 4 separate buildings. So there'll be 4 buildings with 30 units in it, so it's divided out. And I'll go over that too, so everybody understands each building, the number of units, floor plans in each one is drawn out in a project slide here. In May 2025, the project was reviewed and the application process was restarted. That's where I come in on May 1st. On this slide, extremely important, my pointer I don't think is going to show you. It won't. You can see the pointer, but it won't go on the screen. What's important to me is the location of the site that you can see on Clayton Road and Peacock Road there. Do you all see that on screen? That change in color there, that color used to be green. That whole area right there was green until the city council took an action on January 16, 2024, when they updated the housing element. So that is the land use designation change from public use to medium, multifamily medium density. That's what MMD stands for. So all that had talked about that. And then the last item on this slide is the presentation is going to cover background, the approvals needed, the project design, site development of the project site, and then the environmental review and staff's recommendation. During the project design, I've talked to the architect. I'm going to have him stand up and walk you through 3 specific slides because he has more intimate details on it than I'm going to have. So next slide. Oh, and I'm sorry, on slide 2, I had one additional comment. Basically, that the project has evolved from the initial application in June of 2022. There was a lot of stuff that was needed, and then something happened, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. The general plan, land use designation, and the housing element update, and the Clayton Municipal Code on that date that I talked about, January 16th of 2024, a lot changed. The discretionary projects that are needed, the subdivision is really what requires the environmental review now because of what has occurred, but it still needed an environmental review. That's why the ISMMD, or the initial study mitigated neg deck, was, we believed was the appropriate level of environmental review for the project. As I mentioned again, there will be 4 buildings. Each building needs its own parcel. This is not a typical single lot subdivision, it's multifamily. So each building has a parcel, and then that parcel is subdivided into those units, and that's how it's financed and other issues that happen that way. There are required development impact fees and ongoing assessments fees that are associated with the project. The applicant is quite aware of this. We've gone over those issues. I don't know, do we have a copy of that if we need it? The development impact fees. If we don't, I have it on, I can put it on the screen as well. So it's okay. And then the last thing I want to talk about on slide 3 is the site plan review permit. Originally, it was, in June of 2022, development plan permit was required because of all the things that were required in it. During some point after DRB, one of the former community development directors, I believe it was Ms. Ayers, had gone through a process and removed some of that as they were going through the process. I'm going to start talking now. Let me get past this other one. The site plan review permit really is the vehicle that ties the conditions of approval and some other things that are in there together to make sure that they meet standards, the specific standards with local standards. The subcomponents, which are the housing plan and then the housing element, and I'll talk about that a little bit more on a different slide. The existing conditions, I'm sure many of you know that, but the 2.55 acre site is vacant with paved and gravel areas, and includes Contra Costa County, or Contra Costa Water District pump facility that is going to remain on site as is where it's at. So there's no change there. And again, this site was highlighted in the housing element in 24. It was vacant site G. So it's been identified in the housing element. And then we're going to talk about another, I think this next slide will talk about that. But the surrounding areas and land uses are the Oakhurst Golf Course, the Oakhurst Country Club, undeveloped land around it, open space, and residential neighborhoods. The project site is outside the 100-year floodplain. It is what they identify as the level X. X just means it's outside the floodplain, not A, and there's certain categories that indicate flooding. And then there's the list of utilities on this slide that talk about literally, the utilities for the project site are on site. The intersection where everything is developed, all the utilities are there. So it's really, they're going to have to make connection. They have to make connections, right? But it's there, so it's going to be an easy connection for it. As an example, there were a couple comments I heard about road construction and things like that. As part of any construction project, road construction isn't going to be a problem because the contractor, as part of the development process, is required to use a construction plan and how they're going to mitigate traffic construction and how they provide through traffic to locations. So with that, I'm going to go to the next slide. This is where that document up there is a document that the Planning Commission saw on November 28th of 2023 and recommended approval of the amendments, Resolution 7-2023, for these changes. These changes are really important because this is what happened. This is what happened to the site. When the city basically made a bunch of amendments, the top part are amendments to the municipal code. They went and changed a lot of things related to the housing element. And then the next set of bullet points, if you look at bullet point 6 specifically, Clayton Road at Peacock Drive, APN number 118-370-073, and it should have a -9 because that means something. The -line means that there may be utilities on the project. That's what the -9 means. So, and They amended from a PD to multifamily residential, and then they also changed it from public use to the MMD that I talked about a little earlier. So that is what was occurring there during January 16th of 2024. 2.5 years ago, this project, this property site has been rezoned to multifamily 2.5 years ago, okay? And it was rezoned and land use designation is all changed. During the process there, also on these updates, as part of a DRB that occurred in May 22nd of 2023, that for this project, I have notes here regarding that project right here and what was talked about and what was said during that process. A lot of the issues have been dealt with in the update of the code. A lot of the building separations, lot line adjustments, other things were dealt with in that. So the project, again, stayed dormant for some reason from about December of '23 until May of '25. And that's when it started up again. Why it was dormant, I don't know. I haven't found anything in the file to speak to that. So I don't know what that is about. The rest of this, again, I don't know the best way to explain this. I just want to make sure that everybody is under the understanding that this property has changed. Really, if the subdivision had already occurred, they would only need building permits. That's all they would need, is building permits. But because it hasn't been subdivided, they have to go through this process, and this is what requires the environmental document. So that's where we're at. And again, what's happening, I'm trying to paint this picture for you guys, what's happening simultaneously is this project is trying to go through the application process. Well, the city staff is also working with the applicant to try to bring this project to the Planning Commission, but it initially had a general plan amendment, a rezone application, development plan permit, and a variance. And all that has gone away. All those have gone away. It's in the staff report. I don't know if, we'll talk about that as much as you need us to talk to you about that, and I'm happy to do that. The other thing, the city was tasked with the development and implementation of the housing element. This project came to become part of the housing element, and I can go through all that. I don't have that but I can open up the housing element and go through that a little bit if you need to. I had to review all that stuff to make sure that the project, where we're at on the project. The state reviewed the document and required additional changes and identified wanted the city to identify additional sites, specifically vacant lots. And that is happening throughout California. Everywhere in California is going through a housing element. If you issue any kind of housing permit, there's 483 agencies that have gone through the same process that Clayton did, and Clayton has certified with one additional thing that they need to do, their housing element. But I really want to drive the point home that the housing element and the changes in the housing element has made this project viable, appropriate for that site specifically. It's identified in the housing element. The state likes the project. The city council has indicated that's what they would like to happen on that project. I'm going to go to 6. This is where we're going to get into the design of the project. Again, I'm going to have Mark come up in a few minutes, but I want to run over a couple of tables that I talked about. Okay, so for each building, there are going to be, there are 4 buildings, and each one is going to have a specific set of floor plans. And building A, we'll just talk about that real quick. Literally, unit floor plan 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3 are going to be built just like that, next door to each other in that building. And again, to the next one, building C, I'm going to focus a little bit on in a second, but you can see those are just 2 floor plans, 5, 4, 4 identical, and a reverse 5. And I can't remember which one is the reverse 5. But this is how this project is set up, how the units are going to be set up. And I'm going to go to this next slide, which gives you detail on the specific units, how many bathrooms, bedrooms, square footage, garage spaces, the alignment of the garage space, and then the square footage of the unit, both the net and gross. And as I click to this board here, I'm going to have Mark come up, and I'm going to have him now sort of, he's going to, this is Unit 4, its floor plan. And what I want him to do is just walk through the floor, tell you the details and the amenities on what's there, what's good about this. And Mark is the project architect. That's who Mark is. You got to press a button, on/off button. There you go.
Are we good? I'm here to talk about the livability features of a typical floor plan. This is Plan 4 of 5 total. These are multifamily, 3-story dwelling units. They range in size from roughly 1,300 square feet, a little more than 1,300, to that's 2 plans. 2 plans are in the 1,700 square foot range, and then the largest plan is slightly over 2,000 square feet. And so the idea there was to create a unit mix that would accommodate a wide range of homeowners, families, from a young family with children, and to accommodate the desire of a homeowner to live comfortably in these units well into their senior years. And so Plan 4 here, as I say, in the neighborhood of 1,780 square feet. You enter from a ground floor porch, which is 5 feet deep at its most shallow, and then directly from the front door, we have about a 9-foot entry there. So there's a good sense of entry. Immediately to the left, you have a den, which can be optioned as an office. And then directly off of that, a powder room and a coat closet. To the right of or directly in front of the front door, as you proceed, you go out to the garage, which accommodates 2 cars and has extra space for waste bins, water heater, that don't encroach into the clearance zone of the garage, of the car parking space. Immediately to the right, you take the stairs up to the 2nd floor, and that's really the common living area of the plan, with a front deck facing off of dining. I should say, as you come up the stairs, there's a powder room directly off the landing. We put that there for it's a little more privacy for the 2nd floor. And then as you come in the landing, directly ahead is the kitchen with a big island seating there. Definitely an open plan. To the left, you would have your dining area, more of a formal dining area with a deck looking out to the front. And then at the rear of the plan, you've got a living area where you'd have an entertainment area, seating, etc. And a lot of windows front and rear of the plan. Going at the dining area, if you were to go take those stairs, you would go up to the 3rd floor. That's the bedroom floor, and land right where the cursor there is. To the left, you have the primary bedroom with its own closet, its own bathroom, and then proceeding out of that room into the hall, you've got a secondary bathroom on the right, and across from that, a stacked washer-dryer area. We like to keep those up on the 3rd floor where most of the laundry is generated. And then at the rear of the plan, 2 bedrooms for children, secondary occupants of the home. So that pretty much, we try to pack as much livability into these floor plans as possible. A big question that comes up with multifamily residential attached dwelling units, such as these, is soundproofing. Do you have, sound privacy? Fire resistance. What if there's a fire? What I can tell you is that the building code defines prescriptive assemblies for the walls, which is actually 2 walls between each dwelling unit. And those walls need to meet fire resistance provisions and sound attenuation provisions per code. So they're tested assemblies. They're used broadly in multifamily residential, and they work very well to satisfy both of those concerns, sound and fire resistance. Next slide. And so here we have, of course. Okay, here you see the building C, which is the 4-unit building, showing you how the individual units are compiled into a single building under one roof. As you can see in this case, the site layout granted us a little bit of a bonus that we don't usually get, in that we were able to stagger these units to offer more privacy and a little more space between front entrances, et cetera, that better defines each individual unit for the homeowner. You don't, as I say, we don't often have the space to be able to stagger units like this, but I think that this configuration only increases the livability of this project. And this shows all 3 floor plans together of the full building, with the roof plan there at the upper left corner. Yeah. And then here, an exterior elevation of the same building. And what we've tried to do is use architectural forms, high-quality materials, and a color palette that is consistent with a high-quality, semi-rural community such as Clayton. And we feel that under this sort of aesthetic and the livability of the plan and the building configuration, that this would be a very nice community for people to own a home and live in.
Thank you, sorry. And Craig has helped me. I'm going to lean in a little bit and talk a little louder. Again, this is just, and this is I talked about at the first slide, we were going to come back to a slide. Again, this is looking from Clayton, west side of Clayton, looking east. This is what you would see looking to the east if you're standing on Clayton or the median or right there at the corner. This is what you're going to see. Okay, so I'm going to move on to next couple of, this slide here is a very busy slide. It's busy because there's a lot of line work in there, but it is actually the grading, drainage, and utility plan for the project site. Down in the lower right, you see a red square. I'll talk about that in a second on the next slide, or another slide. And again, this is really just showing the layout of all the buildings. Building C in that lower left corner is really, as Mark just talked about, they get an advantage here as you're coming through the corner. It really adds some architectural features to it. It really helps the project live a little bit not so stuck or stickered or sticked. And actually is a very good looking makeup here. So again, for this, let me get to my notes to make sure I'm telling you everything that you need to know from this slide. So the overall is, this is the site development of the project, really. Again, down here in that red square is where the CCWD pump house is. Again, that is staying in place. And I'm just going to talk about the box right now. What the box is identifying is there's a pipe gate that is going to, thank you. There's a pipe gate that's going to go there that will give access to public safety, fire, police. Will have a knock box on there that will allow them to get there. It provides secondary access for emergency purposes on the site. So that's what it's for. And then, make sure that I got that. And again, I talked, Building C is the southeast corner and the intersection. And it's just, it adds a lot of features to the project. That's my last comment on that. Here's the landscaping project. There's 5 sheets of that. This is unfortunately a black and white picture. It doesn't add enough color to what's happening here, but there are a lot of trees, a lot of planting. There's a lot of stuff going on here. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Thank you. Sorry. I tend to lean in my chair too much. There's a lot of stuff going on in here, but it really is, this is landscaping, a lot of trees. And the trees, part of the landscape project is to use native trees that are native to Clayton. So they're doing that here. So again, I believe it's a nice project in that way. Here, this is, I was going here, this is just a very close-up of that area where the gate has been put in. I believe the fire department requested this. The gate, yes, thank you, Grant. And again, talks about some extra parking, shows the extra parking. There's 60 parking spaces, 2 in each unit. There's some extra parking here. And then these are access, the road is just access through the property itself. And this is, again, the road is where the residents are going to access the property in and out. Guests will do the same. It's a private road. It's not constructed by the city. I mean, it's constructed by but not maintained by the city. It's constructed, yes, sir.
I hate to interrupt because you're doing well, but as long as we're looking at that slide, and you see this little piece that comes out back down to Clayton Road?
Yes.
That's an entrance and egress for the development.
That is an ingress, a secondary ingress.
Ingress.
A secondary ingress egress, right, it's secondary.
So there's 2 ways in and out. I just wanted, before we move on from
Yeah,
there, there's 2 ways in and out, right?
The second one that I'm pointing out here has a gate across it.
So, okay, go ahead.
No.
Thank you. We'll get to that in a bit.
Okay, we can talk about it a little more.
Well, yeah, what the heck's the gate for? How come you can't get in and out of there? I mean, there's one way in and one way out? That's not going to be available to get out onto the, so that, otherwise all the traffic funnels out onto Peacock Creek?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to talk about the affordable units requirement. In this, because there's 30 units, the city requires a 10% match for it. So there will be 3 units that will become affordable units. The applicant will work that with the city as they choose each one of the 3 that are going to be used. Again, the affordable units are going to be dispersed, and the materials will match, you know, the materials themselves, the design and the quality to ensure seamless integration with the affordable units. Because people are going to, again, everybody understands what the affordable thing is, which is you have to qualify for it because you have a lower income. And this is a good program to help people get into homes that they can't afford. Again, part of the program is to allow long-term use for about 55 years to protect the accessibility for the affordable unit. So the affordable unit can be, if it's sold, it has to be sold for certain reasons, certain ways. And then again, this the project supports the city's RENA obligations, regional housing number allocation, RENA numbers, and housing element goals and policies by enhancing housing diversity and accessibility to the community. Now we're going to talk about the environmental document, which is an ISMMD. How did we choose the ISMMD instead of an environmental impact report? The ISMMD is, there's an analysis that's done by the staff. They take the application in, they review it, they send it out. It comes back with comments from agencies and things like that. And then the agency will determine what level of environmental review should happen. So in this particular case, the community development director had suggested that this ISMMD be processed because of the fact that 94% of the project site has been disturbed or developed, and 7% of it, or actually less than 7%, is undisturbed. So they're going to have to end up paying a certain amount of money for HCP, Habitat Conservation. That's the route that somebody chose before I got here. Previous community development director chose that. So
Can you explain that a little bit more to me, please?
a little bit more on
Yeah.
how we arrived at it, how we arrived.
What we have, I don't need the history, but we have a mitigated negative deck.
Yes.
And because there was a gravel lot there and everything was disturbed,
Actually, the mitigation really is for the construction activity, not for species on there, because there are no species on there. Again, it is a developed lot, not a undisturbed.
right, but that doesn't affect sound and noise and traffic and the other things, does it? The fact that there's a gravel lot there, aren't those all part and parcel?
Sure, and traffic is an interesting, and traffic noise or traffic as in-
Traffic noise,
congestion.
freight trains, whatever's going through there,
Right.
it's gonna be different.
Right, and so, and the environment these days, and I'm not sure what, if you're talking about a train and train
I
tracks.
know, I'm being facetious.
No, so I
I'm
don't,
sorry.
yeah. The idea is, the staff has made a determination, they believe that this, and not here, not the current staff, somebody else that was here. And all I can explain by reading what I've read and what I've come through, right? In fact, the director, the community development director, I don't think would have ever chosen EIR for this site because of what they have found.
Well, let's not talk about what happened with someone that's not here. You showed up on this project to take a look at this project professionally.
Yes, I
And
did.
to look at this. What would you do if you just beamed in here and you're looking at this and looking at the EIR? What would you recommend? Not what somebody did way back when. What would you recommend?
Way back when is part of the application. This application started in June of '22, right? June of 2022. And from that day to this day is the project file. So we're still, so I have to use what they did. That community development director's work is in the ISMMD.
Right.
So she done a very, the applicant had to provide a form filled out, a PSR, planning survey report, that generated what I just talked about. The 94%, the 6% of undeveloped land, and there will be a fee associated with that. That's an in lieu fee, and that's part of the mitigation. So, and it's, again, started back when it was a general plan amendment, a rezone, a development plan and variance and stuff like that. It may have required an EIR, but it doesn't anymore because of the zoning and what they're doing. I mean, so it doesn't require an EIR, but it requires an environmental document. An ISMMD is just as good as an EIR if they're both done right. So,
Can I ask just for a point of distinction of EIR and ISMMD in terms of just what one entails, what one has over the other? And I understand that you're saying that this was decided prior to anyone here. And that aside, as a layman, help me, reconcile the differences between the two.
right, sure, because it's about mitigation. It's about mitigation, and if you can't mitigate, and you're going to have to go in and write an overriding consideration to be able to try to mitigate. In a situation like that where you're doing an EIR and you have to write an overriding consideration for the mitigation, it's because the mitigation isn't going to work. It won't work. But you still have to do the mitigation because you have to lower the impact of the project to the lowest point of impact that you can. That's the whole point of the environmental impact report or the environmental documents, is to assess the impact that the project has on the site and the community itself and evaluate that. Again, a lot of this, it's not that somebody is trying to shortcut something. That's not what we're doing. Somebody talked about a neg deck is not the appropriate vehicle for this. A neg deck isn't. A mitigated neg deck is. There's a difference. A neg deck, if you're filing a neg deck, you really have no mitigation needed. It's really almost an irrelevant vehicle anymore, but it's an option to you. You can use it. An ISMMD, you do an initial study. That's where you do your initial upfront work, evaluating everything, and there's a decision made on what that evaluation is. Is it an EIR or is it something different? This is something different. This is not an EIR. This is, because, as an example, Silver Oaks was a good example of, it had too much going on. It had a creek running through it, right? There was a lot of environmental issues there that had to be dealt with, and the way to deal with that, the vehicle to use there was an environmental impact report. That was the right vehicle there. Here, because there are less mitigations required, and only for the construction of the project. So, without the project, there's no need for mitigation. With the project, the only mitigation that's going to be required is for the construction activity, and the construction activity only. There are ongoing fees that I talked about originally, but those are from other assessments for fees that are going to be going to the city for maintenance and stuff like that. So, but I really want to help you understand if I can.
So give me just very broadly, what are the characteristics in which an EIR would need to be invoked in a situation? And I heard you say, there's a creek running through it, or there's other, environmental issues. And in this, because of the mitigation component and the less development, this was the path that was chosen. So does one hold a higher designation than the other, or it's more a product of the situation warranting which one will be used?
The latter.
Okay.
What does the project require, right? What is the appropriate level? And again, we don't take this lightly. I'm not saying at the ISMMD, oh, man, good. No. If an EIR was needed here, that's what we would have done.
So just playing devil's advocate, what would the argument be that there should be an EIR in this situation over an ISMMD, if that argument were to be made?
If they were trying to make that argument here, I would have a hard time understanding why they're trying to do it. Because if you're arguing, as an example, like traffic level, level of service, right, congestion, the intersection is crowded and congested, that's not an environmental review anymore. It used to be. It actually was used a lot. Level of service A meant you had the best road anywhere. Level F is the worst road ever. But because of the congestion, right? Congestion is a greenhouse gas issue now. Transportation issues are now dealt with VMTs. So they've changed, the state has changed that process for us. I mean, I'm used to LOS. Mr. Richardson's probably used to level LOS. That's what public works directors use. Right? That's the level of the road. An A, I'm not worried about. A C minus or below, I'm really worried about. Because it's causing potholes everywhere. It's causing damage to tires and cars and things like that. You don't want to do that. So again, that's sort of what I'm trying to say here is what was the impacts? What are the impacts? The transportation MMD was looked at, and there's a mitigation that is going to occur that's going to happen, and it's written in there, and I'd have to look it back up. But those are the things that occur, and and a VMT really is an interesting thing, and I started learning about this in 2016, so it's been 10 years or so, and it's been growing. And in fact, it's a controversy right now at the state. They're looking at this, how they're going to use that to register your cars in the future, right? So it's just the idea. Mr. Richardson talked about sound. Okay, sound is an issue throughout, especially when it's quiet, right? When it's quiet, you can hear anything. But what they've done for sound is they put dual pane, triple pane windows in. I live in Chico, in Durham, California, next to Chico. Train runs through there at 4:21 in the morning, every morning, the Amtrak. My window's open, I can tell you the train's running. My window's closed, I'm sound asleep. That's, okay. So if you open your window, noise is going to come in if that's the design. And again, this is part of the design, and that's what I'm trying to do. The design can help mitigate that. But if you're standing outside your home, are you going to hear the traffic? Yes, you're going to hear the traffic. If you're inside the home, you're not going to hear the traffic.
So just one more question. You cited that 94% was undisturbed in this, right? So is there a threshold within the ISMMD in which that percentage would say, like, I guess, is there a threshold on that undisturbed percentage that if it exceeded this amount or was under this amount, that this wouldn't be a vehicle to pursue versus an EIR?
I wouldn't say that it's an amount.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that if there was something happening there, that even a small amount, there was like an underground tank, there's an underground tank there, that has to come out. That can't stay anymore. In fact, the person that has to take that tank out is who owns it. That's the way it works these days, right? So those are the kinds of things that you're looking at on how you're going to mitigate the specific situation on that property. And that's how you have to look at it. I mean, again, let's take this property versus Silver Oaks up in Marsh Creek, right? That is a completely different environment than this is, right? This is on the intersection of a road surrounded by, not surrounded completely by homes, but surrounded by development. And that's one of the things I talked about here. The reason why this intersection is a great place to develop is because everything is there. Literally, every utility that they're going to need to connect to is right there, right at the intersection, either running up Peacock Creek Drive or across Clayton. In fact, there's a couple of water lines that are going to be replaced that CCWD has on that property, and the project is going to realign that as part of the project. So it's going to better the CCWD facility.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Oh, okay, and then, so on this, again, there are specific mitigation measures that are going to reduce the impacts to less than significant levels, and those are really mostly construction activities is what the mitigation, and those are monitored through reporting programs. It's just part of the environmental document. So, and then after this is all done, the mitigation is done, and after you get the draft prepared, then you send it into the state clearinghouse. And the state clearinghouse is where the environmental document is reviewed by the state and everybody else that wants to look at it. On this project itself, we had several comments, letters, as Craig talked about earlier, and we had no comments or letters from the state of California on this project, not one. Where Silver Oaks, I believe, had 3 comments from the state. This doesn't have, the state likes this project. HCD specifically likes this project. HCD is the people who oversee the housing element. So they were part of overseeing, and again, part of the housing element is the city has to write a document, the state gets to approve it. The state didn't approve it the first time, but they did approve the document for the city the second time. On this, here, fiscal impacts. Again, there are really no immediate fiscal impacts, but there are going to be long-term property taxes and economic development by using or shopping at businesses locally and stuff like that. There's going to be an increased demand on public services. Not a lot, this is 30 units, but the property tax they pay and the business they do within the city of Clayton will help will raise money, sales taxes basically, property tax and sales tax is what will help this. And the project recommended.
Can I ask a question specific to that? So there's been no fiscal impact analysis tied to this, just kind of generalities?
This, again, for us, fiscal analysis for the project, is that what you're?
Correct.
Right. They may have done a fiscal analysis. I mean, again, what the analysis is here, and this has been evaluated in the ISMMD as well. It's section 17 or 18, I can't remember which one it is, but it actually looks at public services and talks specifically about them. And that's generally where I'm getting some of my wording from, is the ISMMD. And again, so the next thing is really the project recommendations, and this is basically the recommendations of the staff report. I've narrowed this down just so it fits on the slide a little bit better. When I talked about the site plan review permit, this is my next to last slide. When I talked about the site plan review permit, there are 3 subcomponents: the habitat conservation plan, the HCP, which is what we just talked about on the disturbing of the property, also the affordable housing program, and there's a tree removal permit for a couple scrub trees, but the permit is not in the package because we talked to staff, Mr. Chillum, about this, and we're going to add that as part of the conditions of approval. It's in the conditions of approval, needing to be issued prior to grading, I think it is, or whatever it is. And then my last slide is this. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. At this time, the commission can ask of the presenter any clarifying questions. Do you have anything to clarify?
I have a question. Access. There's going to be the one for the fire department that is going to have a locked gate, correct? Okay. So then that presents another issue that the people at Peacock Creek are complaining about, is that everybody's going to be going in and out of that one entrance and egress on Peacock and Clayton Road. And that'll get backed up because we have Peacock Creek, we have the country club, and then the housing. And I did notice that in this plethora of paperwork and reading, that there was a study done for traffic, but it was done in '22, where it assumes most people are working remotely, which at the time, because of COVID and everything else, was likely true. But at somewhere middle to end of 25, 26, people were recalled back to the office. And on Clayton Road there, because it goes into Marsh Creek, we have people who come through from Brentwood because they don't want to take 4 because 4 is backed up. People also get off of 4 onto Kirker Pass to Ignacio. That is totally backed up by 6:45. So we have all the people coming from Brentwood down Marsh Creek and Clayton Road and 4 to Kirker to Ignacio, and Clayton Road feeds into Ignacio. So that traffic study, it's not going to be accurate. So my question is too, and we recently just had a fire right there at Peacock and Clayton Road. We've had quite a few fires recently here in town. And our designation has, in many places here, has been increased fire risk. So with only one entrance and egress for Peacock Creek, this new development, that increases the risks significantly if we have a fire, a serious fire, if we have a serious earthquake, because the earth here has rocked and rolled multiple times. And I know when it happens because on the side of my house, it feels like a freight train hitting us. And the ground is constantly moving. And I know the ground there moves too because Peacock Creek has numerous areas where there's been slides, there's movement. They've been complaining, and the GAD has been very active. So I'm really concerned that there's only one entrance, one exit. I think that should be adjusted. I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Well, what usually happens in any project, we send this out to agencies, specifically like the fire department. I have the latest letter here from the fire department on what they think about the project. The only thing they've added is the gate. They wanted access. They wanted access there, a secondary access. Most places want secondary accesses, right? Secondary meaning a secondary access available to the fire department of public safety, and that's what they've asked for. This unit, because we had talked, you had said a couple of words on, like at 7:15, there are cars backing up already, right? There's a lot of, right, more.
If you're not out of there by 6:30, you're done for.
Right.
It
And-
takes you more than an hour to get down Ignacio Valley Road.
Right. So that would have been dealt with in the past by a level of service. The level of service is so bad there, it's congested up, so you need to widen the road, you need to figure out a way to free things up, right? That's what you have to do. Well, that's not an environmental issue anymore. It's not congestion is part of life. It's a greenhouse gas thing. Congestion is something that happens between 7 and 9 and 3:30 and 5:30. But the rest of the time, those intersections have nobody in it. Do you need more development? Yeah, no, I mean, it's not as impacted as it usually is. So it being backed up is not an environmental issue. The issue about the fire, that's a concern, but the 30 units here, all the buildings are going to be sprinkled inside. That's just a requirement of the building code. If there's a fire up the hill and everyone is evacuated, the 30 families are going to leave, and then there's going to be nobody that's in the way, then that's going to be some other issue that people are having upstream. If this were a 200-unit subdivision, this would be a concern. But it's a 30-unit project, and the fire department has looked at this. The fire department that would fight the fire has looked at this and has said that this is okay if you do these following conditions.
I live with a fire protection engineer, so he's looked at all of these things. So I don't know. I really believe there should be a secondary where they're not always going in and out of the same place to get in and out of where you got to go. I just think it's a safety issue. I'd rather be safe than sorry. The other thing I'm concerned about is that with these units, I didn't come across one that is ADA compliant. Is there a reason why, or you just didn't do it?
It's not my project, so you might want to have to address that to the application. But the applicant, he's there, or Mark? Oh.
The Plan 5 is adaptable, which means it's a level of ADA compliance below full accessibility. Adaptability means that it is usable for a disabled person at the first floor, and that would be a dropped threshold from the porch out to the garage, a place for bathing and a toilet facility on the first floor, and in the case of Plan 5, there's also a bedroom. And that meets the, and then the bathroom would have grab bars and such.
But nothing for like cooking or anything if they can't get up?
No, that would be along the lines of an accessory dwelling unit, which is something else altogether. But the Plan 5 does meet the code requirements for
Okay.
adaptability.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And then the other thing is, I had talked about the ground moving. That's a concern, because we've lately have been moving a lot around here. So,
There's been a geological study on the project site, so.
yeah,
The project engineer or the engineer that will design the buildings and the foundations will take all of that in consideration. He has to. I
Right.
have to.
okay.
Thank you. Other questions from the commissioner?
Yeah, I think Mark referenced just, some of the demographics or anticipated people that, would be the, I guess, target audience for this. And for me, I just felt like this packet was lacking in that demographic and understanding more around, has there been a market analysis around this? What the household sizes are, vehicle ownership rates in anticipation, and then the downstream effects specifically on parking demand, schools, traffic patterns, and public service needs. I know that some of it was touched upon, but within the packet, it didn't feel like it was comprehensive to provide a full scope for the commission to make a determination on that.
Well, that's why Mark and the engineer are here, because I want them to talk with us to make sure that we understand what is happening so that we can make a good decision on this project.
Could you rephrase the
Sure,
question?
I guess understanding like the anticipated resident profile, like who is the target audience, for this project, and the downstream effects based upon that of parking demand, schools, traffic patterns, and, service and infrastructure needs.
I would say that broadly speaking, families, a couple with, an adult couple with children. That's the 3-bedroom, 2.5, sometimes 2 half baths as well model. And we find that frankly, is in our sales, our market data, is the broadest spectrum of the housing market. In this area, especially for multifamily housing, they're younger couples, double income generally, but then they also tend to be at times older couples, maybe with adult children who don't live there, or in the case of, say, Plan 5, for example, you might have a family with an elder who would use the first floor bedroom and bathroom as living quarters.
And then I guess something for me that's just lacking that I think is important to bring in this is just the fiscal impact of this. Is it neutral? Is it positive to the city? Is it negative? I mean, I can't imagine there'd be a negative impact looking at this project and adding housing and the property tax revenue, but that's just something that's lacking to me in the materials that were presented in the packet as well.
Well,
And
that
know
I
that may
don't
not
think
be
I can
geared
speak
towards
to.
you, yeah, maybe to staff.
Well, again, what is raised, when you do a development like this, what you're gonna end up with is you're gonna get property taxes from each of the homes. So here, each of the units, you're gonna get,
Even the low income,
everybody pays taxes,
Okay.
yeah.
but they don't pay, would the low income units pay at the same rate as the non-low income
I
units?
believe that there will be a discount, but I think you're gonna have, I'm not the expert on that, and the applicant and the attorney need to go through the whole component to make sure what, as part of the affordability of those 3 units, because they're still working on, is it low or is it moderate income? They're still working that out. So that will be worked out between the city and the, he's giving 3 units. What are those 3 units? They're still working on that, but those 3 units need to be the same. And it says in the city's code that the lower square footage can be used as long as it's consistent with the rest of the units. He may not do that, but that's his choice. I mean, that's a choice between the attorney and the applicant. They're gonna come to an agreement on that. And I believe that they do all, if there's a discount on the price, I would have to ask somebody on that. I don't know for sure.
I mean, for me, what it would boil down to in the simplest terms are the revenues generated, how do they compare to the service demands? Do the revenues exceed what the additional service demands will warrant, or is it neutral? I mean, I think that's the point that I would like better clarity on understanding.
I would just like to add that, after, or before the structures are final, they will have to pay basically impact fees, which are fees that are assessed to each unit and that are covered by the developer, and that those are to go to basically things like, capital facilities. And there's also, we actually have an estimated list of what those fees would look like. But the city does have, as part of its master fee schedule, a list of capital projects.
The interesting part about those, I'm sorry, just to finish up, development impact fees are a one-time fee. Property taxes and sales taxes are ongoing. So it's kind of a break even. It may be a little lower. It just depends on the number of households you have. The more households you have, the more property tax, that kind of stuff. So it's a way to break even with the costs of police, fire, that kind of service. That's right. So an analysis of the fiscal impact to the city. The fiscal impact, the city understands that they're going to provide police and fire service. That's just out of the general fund. Is there any additional cost to the city for these guys? I don't think so. I mean, they're, like, again, a lot of the maintenance is done by the homeowners association. The city isn't cleaning the roads, isn't doing anything inside the property. There's no work for the city to do. I think the most the city has is some right-of-way along the edge. There's some landscaping that, and probably has to be redone. I think the landscaping is pretty poor out there, but the landscaping will be redone as part of the project. I'm not sure, you don't look like I'm.
No, you are. I understand the scope of the project being 30 units, right? And it not being 200. And so I'm taking that in consideration, but I look at it also from a fiscal standpoint of, is there an upside to the city? And based upon what you're saying, is you anticipate it to be net neutral, most likely, okay? You had touched on one of these points, and just, I think, better clarification on the long-term ownership, maintenance obligation, monitoring responsibilities associated with the retaining walls and geotechnical improvements. So who maintains the walls? Were adjacent GAD areas evaluated, and what monitoring is required after construction? Those are 3 questions that I have.
After construction, there's no more monitoring after construction because the mitigation will be over, right? Will there be ongoing, the road and stuff is all, the homeowners association will be the people maintaining the road, and that will be worked out through the homeowners. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You're so close. The homeowners association will be responsible for the landscaping, the road, the open space, everything that's on the property, they will be responsible for. The city isn't going to have much responsibility other than delivering public safety services like police and fire, and then the maintenance along the road that is Peacock Creek and Clayton Avenue. But everything else is inside.
It's only the police. It's only the police. There's no additional, from my experience. And that doesn't equate to adding another officer or something like that. It just means you're gonna have to look over there once in a while. All the rest of the trip generated by people that come in and out of there, you've already, as noted, we have the trips of everyone else is driving from East County through there. So it would just be the additional, and we don't do fires, so.
One thing to add in terms of the calculation with real estate is that the city receives 6% of the 1% in the base rate, and on 10,000 annual tax dollars, the city gets approximately 660. Housing, as Don was mentioning, is kind of a break even. It's not a means of making money in the city. The property is zoned for multifamily residential. That's what it would be used for if it's developed, and that is what's proposed, but it does not necessarily, it is a plus in terms of providing more housing for community, for the state, but.
Got it. And just, I guess one last thing that stood out to me is, this area right now is used for, a myriad of purposes. And if this project moves forward, are there alternatives that are identified for helping replace what is being used today?
As far as the parking goes,
Correct.
actually, Don, I think you did a little bit of analysis on that.
On parking now?
That the parking, that it's more provided as a courtesy. So as far as loss to the community, it was never something that was necessarily planned to be provided.
I just felt compelled, not only from my observation, but the standpoint of some of the submitted, comments from the public, just to bring that up to make sure it was being addressed. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Breton?
Just a quick one. I noticed that the geotechnical report recommends additional verification of the existing drainage system before development proceeds. So has that work been completed, and is the staff and project engineers satisfied with the findings? Subdrain. Sure, I'd be happy to. I noticed that the geotechnical report recommends additional verification of the existing drainage system, sub-drainage system before the development proceeds. So has that work been completed, and are you satisfied with it? No.
No, that work has not been completed. The project hasn't started yet. They're not allowed to start yet. They have to wait before they get, you guys, this group here, these 5 people here, have to give him permission to do that. That's what he's here for, to get permission to move forward. So that, again, the work hasn't started yet, but it's part of the geotechnical report that will come back to the city engineer. Grant's going to have his engineer now submit official stamp plans where this civil engineer that's going to do that is going to stamp his name to it and say, I'm responsible for this design now. So again, I used to work for a civil engineer when I was really young. It's about how you make sure things don't fall apart and break, right? You overbuild it is how it doesn't break. This is what it's going to take. I'm going to go 15% higher. So the question that you asked, the answer is no, that work has not started yet because it'll have to be done as part of his project, but he doesn't have permission to do the work yet. As soon as he's given permission to do it, that when they're doing that work, they will do it. And the city has to approve the plans for that. The city engineer has to approve the plans before he can start doing that. So that is part of it. And again, the city engineer is going to look at the parking lot, the design, all the things that are his purview. He'll be responsible for. And one of the things I didn't talk about, if this project goes forward, and when it goes forward, there are going to be additional permits, like all the building permits. Those haven't been issued at all. Those will be issued though, right? The same thing with grading. That hasn't been issued yet, but if it is approved, then that will start. Those are the kinds of things that have to happen before, this has to happen before the applicant can start.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? Okay, I'm going to open the public comment period, and this is the opportunity for up to 3 minutes for those who would like to speak on this project. Those of you that may not have done this, a little bit of clarification on public comment. It is a monologue, not a dialogue. So you have an opportunity to get up and share your feelings with the commission, and we are happy to listen. Candace, good to see you.
It's okay. It's okay.
Please come up.
Okay. Hi, I'm Candace Bass. I've lived in Clayton a number of years, and I currently live at Peacock Creek. This is my friend Kathy Wolf. She lives in Peacock Creek also. We formed a committee in the fall, and we met with Chris Chellam and Craig, and we talked about our concerns about living in that area. There weren't really plans for an evacuation should a disaster come up, just as Maria brought up. After that, our group kind of evolved into advocates for an evacuation plan in Clayton, not just Peacock Creek. And there wasn't one in place, and there still isn't. Kathy was part of the meeting, and Keith Hayden was part of a meeting in which we met with Chief Crone. He expressed some concern and thought that this is something that needs to also be developed. Last night, according to CBS News Bay Area, they said that UC Santa Barbara evaluated wildfire risk across the U.S. They found communities with fewer evacuation routes accounted for the majority of wildfire deaths. And what becomes most dangerous if there are few exits and a high burn hazard. Clayton and San Ramon were cited in this report. Given these safety concerns and those that some of the commissioners have expressed, we are wondering if Clayton government officials could possibly ask the state to be excused from the new housing requirements due to the high risk for evacuation for Clayton residents at this time. And if that were the case, maybe we could put some of this on hold, because it's really the safety and security of our citizens that is of utmost importance. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other speakers? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public comment portion of this. And before I close the public hearing, I would ask the question, do we have a developer here? May I ask you a question, sir? Sure. Is it possible to allow traffic to go out that other exit?
That was a question I was going to have for the civil. Was fire requiring that gate? Yeah.
Yeah, put the mic on.
If fire hasn't required that, let's get rid of it.
I think they required it, and they wanted the secondary access. But if that's the direction that we want to go, we can look at that, and if we'll have to talk to the traffic engineer. I mean, this is, the problem with this driveway now is it too close to the intersection? Right? Are they too close? All right? The other one, you have one, if that's close, this one's further away. I would have to talk to the engineer.
Would you know the answer to that?
Could you identify yourself for me, please?
Good evening. My name is Ross Avidian with PA Design Resources.
Thank you, sir.
We are project civil engineer. Originally, that access came from Water District because they didn't want to just drive through the subdivision back and forth. And usually they service some of this pump station at midnight, you know, and therefore the secondary access came up. And also, we use that for the fire. And usually, based on certain number of units, whether you are going to need one access or two access. I know more than 50 units, you have to have a two access. Therefore, we have access, and they put the gate there to not use that everyday basis. They use that only for emergency cases. Therefore, that's the reasoning for the gate.
Okay, God bless the fire department.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, is there anything that stops us from opening that gate up and allowing people to go in and out the way it's proposed to be constructed?
Well, we can check that with the fire department.
Well, fire department doesn't decide who gets to go in and out of streets. I'm just saying, if we don't put the gate up, the fire department can do whatever they want. East Contra Costa Water District can get to their pumping plant, and people could drive out that way, the way it's currently designed. Would that be possible, just not closing the gate?
Well, you
So
know,
it doesn't require a huge redesign or
yeah,
anything?
I cannot really commit that because there are some other layers above us which they make a decision.
So who again, I'm sorry?
Well, I can say fire department has a big stick. They decide and control the subdivision circulations. Therefore, we will go to them, we will ask them your request, and we will push to see if we can get that approved.
We just want a second, we want, I think, I'm not trying to speak for everyone, but I think there's a sense to explore the opportunity to take advantage of that second exit as a regular matter of business.
Sure.
For those people that live there, particularly if we're looking for what, let's just say something does happen and everybody in those 30 units got to jump in the little cars and cram out that same door,
Yeah.
that same exit, that everybody coming down Peacock Creek, unless somebody's got their 4x4 and they're cruising across the back hills. Why not
Certainly.
give them another, and so I think we would appreciate it if someone would ask. And again, I'm not trying to add costs onto the project.
No,
But
this is
there's a
not,
common sense approach to this that says, give them a chance to go out the other way. If I lived there, I'd go out the other way, make my right turn onto to Clayton Road and go.
well, we are with you. I think Grant also,
Is that something we could
yeah, Grant
bring back to?
also like this
We could bring
idea.
back to us?
Yeah, and we pursue that,
Thank you, sir.
and we come back to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Well, it sounds to me like we have a couple of things going on, and we're going to get some information back. Is there a desire, it seems to me that it might be, I'm stuttering here, behoove the commission to continue this. Back up for a second. I'm going to close the public hearing. We're in discussion now. The public hearing is closed. It seems to behoove us to continue to our next meeting on the 23rd of June, to bring this back for answers on whether we can keep the gate open, and perhaps give us a chance to digest anything that we haven't digested in these things. Is that something that would be
I would move that we continue this meeting to the 23rd so that we can get an answer about the gate.
And continue our
And
discussion.
continue our
at that time.
discussion.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we continue this meeting that we continue the discussion portion of this meeting to the January 23rd,
June 23rd.
June 23rd, stuttering and getting lost, to the June 23rd, I want to make sure it's a date certain and not floating in the air, to June 23rd, at which time we can review that question.
Before you vote, can I ask somebody a question? Just listen to the question. Are we going to be able to do that by the 23rd? Are we going to be able to talk to the fire department and come back? If we're not, we need to pick another day. Because by continuing this to another date certain, we don't have to notice this again. We'll notice the meeting, but this project will continue opened until that date. Can we talk to the fire department by then?
Well, all right, we've got a motion and it's been seconded. Call the roll, please.
I will take roll. Commissioner Berzovich,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulman,
Aye.
Commissioner Casagrande,
Aye.
Vice Chair Bonchero,
Aye.
Chair Richardson.
Aye.
The motion carries
We'll
5-0.
continue this to June 23rd. Thank you. All right, thank you all.
Just before
Yes, sir.
we want to talk communications.
Give 'em a chance
Because these
to-
people can't
give 'em a
leave,
chance
but just
to-
as long as you guys know, we
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
still have
we've
that item
got-
on the agenda.
We've got a couple of things left. We'll wait for a moment. All right. So we'll talk about this on June 23rd. I'll wait till Craig comes back. All right, we have communications. Staff? Communications.
I'll go first while Craig gets settled. Just as a reminder that Commissioner Schulman and Commissioner Berzovich, and I guess Chair Richardson, your terms are up in 21 days, if my math is right. Chair Richardson not returning, so that means there are 3 open seats. If the 2 of you would like to reapply, you can email me directly or to the city clerk inbox, or you can come in person and apply or reapply. And anyone listening who's interested can follow those same steps.
Skylar, is the application that you sent, that one page, is that it?
There is a general application, and that would be for Planning Commission, TLC, Budget and Audit, FSC, sorry, not Budget and Audit, FSC, and there might be another one. And then there's a 1-page, 1-question write-up around that is specific to Planning Commission. So there are 2 pages.
Okay.
And I believe the link I sent you is to the city page that has both of those links in there. I can double check.
It does.
It does? Okay.
Yeah, and I think I had one question of clarification on that. So, like, it's a limited amount of space within that PDF, so we could just say, see attachment and reference the question? Okay.
That would be fine with me, but
Okay.
I will only be the acting city clerk for another week. I can't imagine the new city clerk would object, but just full transparency.
Okay, I'll get it into you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yes, Craig.
The other item for the communication was in relationship to the study session with the Planning Commission to just ongoing conversation in relation to the policies and procedures as basically the conduct of the Planning Commission and how it reviews projects and developing predictable timelines and stages of review. Now, this was something that had kind of intended to go on through June, but the June schedule is kind of filling up. We only meet twice a month. It's going to be ongoing into July. However, the chair can call, and you can have a conversation in relation to special dates if you wish. This is not a land use items, so this is not something that has to be noticed to the public. There's no decisions being made. This is something that just is dealt with as the commission itself.
I can call a special meeting, 24-hour notice. If you guys want an opportunity, we had a study we missed you. We had a study session where we actually got a chance to chat, which was probably the first time in a long time, and talk about how we do things and how we're going through this. And we're able to build on our, teams are built on shared experiences, and we're able to talk about those shared experiences. And I think if there's an opportunity between now and when I'm gone at the end of this month, I would like an opportunity to sit with you and help facilitate that discussion, because each of you are going to take it forward. There's at least one project on my crystal ball tells me it's going to come that's going to be much more problematic than this one is, one in the downtown area. And so I think it would be good and behoove the commission and staff to work through this flow chart thing that says this is how they work, this is what they do. We talked about toolboxes. What's on your toolbox? What do we want them to bring to us? You want to see story polls, you want to do different things and stuff like that. So I think there's definitely a benefit to it if you could maybe at least do one more before the end of the month, but I'm free to meet anytime, except cocktail hour. No, but seriously. So I leave it up to you guys on whether you want to give Craig
So
direction.
basically, it's an open discussion for you, and you can give me direction. And I apologize, I misspoke. It's not, it does need to be, noticed. We noticed in the 3 locations. So I would encourage you to speak amongst yourself and with you want to pursue that.
I'm open to when you want to do a meeting. I'll make time.
The only time not available would be city council. We were supposed to have a TLC committee meeting on June 15th, but that was canceled, and that was the only other conflict. So from a city perspective,
It doesn't have to
just-
be a Tuesday.
it does not, but I'm just letting you know
Could
that
be any day.
there was a meeting scheduled Monday that has been canceled, so we have the flexibility that works around your schedule.
You guys have something? You interested? Can you throw some dates out there?
Yeah, I'd be interested. I'm free next week. Any night next week is fine.
I think they're. Okay.
I'm free with the exception of Wednesday and Thursday. Excuse me, just Wednesday.
Can we do something next Monday? Does next Monday work for us?
I'm good.
Are you good Monday? What up, Breton? How are you doing Monday? Same time, same bat channel?
Same place?
I'm old enough to know same bat time, same bat channel.
Adam West, my friend.
You're old enough
Hey,
too.
listen, it's Adam West. Some of us are cultured. I'll put it on the recording. Some of us are cultured enough to know Adam West, okay?
I
That's
lived
funny.
I lived near where that was filmed.
Did you really?
Yes. The caves.
Gonna do it on
Okay,
Monday,
June 15th.
Okay.
7 o'clock. Here.
Okay.
We have agreement? We'll let staff do it, and we'll look forward to being here. And we'll let the vice chair run that meeting, okay? And I'll sit back. I'll run the next
All right.
meeting on the 23rd, but I'll let the vice chair run that meeting.
Okay, very
He's
good.
he's gonna be talking to everyone about what we do in the future. I'll just be a gadfly. That
All
seem
right, thank you.
reasonable? You good with that? Yeah. All right. Any other communications from staff?
Nope.
Any
That's it.
communications from us? Seeing none, we are going to adjourn. 8:38. Adjourned. Thank you all.